Hello, how are you? In this video we will see what has been the lowest point in your life. And I welcome you to the question answer channel. I thank Pat Lisenbee, Rebecca White and Rohan Kamath for sharing their views on this matter with us.
My wedding night. If we had had a gun, I would have shot and killed my new husband and then killed myself. Let me explain. I lived in a home where abuse was extreme. Sexual abuse, a lot of rape from the father during the night, my mouth covered so there was no outcry, the mother sexually abusing my brother, the father, mother and little sister emotionally abusing me constantly, physical abuse from the father from punching in the stomach, flinging in the wall, spanking with a belt from middle of knees to the upper back that lasted for half an hour or more, beating with fists, swinging by the hair and more. The mother would spank me with an oak paddle with holes drilled in it with my name burned into it, saying, for Patti Anne. I had to sand and shellac the damn thing when he made it. For years I couldn't look at various sized paddles without bad reactions. To get out of the house, I latched onto the first young man that expressed interest in me. I didn't love or even really like him, I pretended to. I told him my dreams of getting my get and become an emergency room nurse, so we planned. He worked a 4 days a week, 12 hours a day job, so I could go to college during the time. We filled out the paperwork, I saw the counselor and we got the list of classes I needed and the schedule all line up. I would also work a part-time job at the grocery store, which was eager to hire me. Everything was set, all I had to do was get married, file that paperwork and put my new name on the papers and then we would be on our way. We got married, the afternoon consisted of the reception and things seemed fine. We got home by 6 and he sat down while I changed out of my wedding dress into regular clothes. He sat me on his lap and gripped my arm pretty hard and was holding the papers for the GED class and college in the other. I am your husband now, he said, and you are my wife. Therefore under God you must obey what I say. And I say no classes, no job. You will stay in this apartment, keeping it clean and have dinner ready when I come home from work. You will give me sex when I want it, wherever I want it. You will not tell me no. Here my gorge rose. I'd seen a lot of husband-wife abuse and vowed it wouldn't happen to me and here it was happening right now. You will be obedient like the Bible says. Do you understand? I said, I will not do that. You promised me college. You're a liar if you don't and good husbands don't lie. You're a bad Christian too, if you don't keep your word. No, I won't have sex with you, you rotten man. He just laughed, tore the papers up and yanked me to the floor and dragged me to the bedroom. I fought him, I was pretty strong, but he was bigger and stronger, and he struck me and then he raped me. So if I'd had a gun, I would have shot him and myself as well. A week into the marriage I walked to my parents' house and the mother was working in the garden. I asked if I wanted to get a divorce. Her only reply was, you made your bed, you lie in it. No turning back. I turned around and left. There was no support there. Couldn't go home anymore. There was no place for women to go back then except the street. Couldn't turn to the church as they didn't believe in divorce either. So I stayed in a loveless, abusive relationship for many years. But the lowest part of my life was the wedding night.
The next answer is from Rebecca White.
I was 17, had a 1-year-old daughter, force-fed cocaine, beaten, starved, and raped daily by my husband and his friends in a small isolated town in East Texas. One night, after an unsuccessful coke deal, he came home to vent his anger on me. I was holding my crying daughter, bent over trying to clean up her vomit off of the carpet. She was teething and running fever. I knew he would beat me senseless if he saw it. He had a habit of taking everything in our crappy house apart when he was high. The kitchen table leg was on the floor. He picked it up, swung it like a golf club at full strength, square in the center of my face. My daughter fell, and thankfully she was not hurt. My face was completely shattered, and I was still awake. He dragged me by the hair into the front yard and kicked me in my stomach, breaking 3 ribs. My daughter was in his arms. After that, he left me there, and locked the front door. That was the moment my life changed. I had to get out or die. I am 30 now. I have been clean for 13 years now and have finished a nursing degree. My daughter was given up for adoption at 2 years old and my ex-husband is in prison finally, but not for what he did to us. His sheriff father could no longer protect him. I have a 5-year-old daughter now and I am remarried to a much better man. My lowest point was what I believe was hell on earth. I beat it, and will never allow it to happen to me or my child again.
What do you think? We will continue with Rohan Kamath's answer.
The single worst feeling in the world is disappointing the people who believe in you. This is my story of hitting rock bottom. 2 quarters into grad school, I felt like a complete and utter failure. I'd given up on food and sleep, constantly staring meaninglessly at the ceiling hoping it would all just end. Everyone around me seemed to just get it, they seemed to know what they were doing. I on the other hand didn't understand what the professors taught in class, the homework assignments didn't make sense and my grades were slipping test after test. One evening, as I sat in a dark room staring at my screen, the assignment deadline looming, I made a terrible lapse in judgment. I searched the student repos for the solution. I struck gold. I found the source code that a student from the previous year had accidentally left public. In desperation, I copied some parts of the code, a few methods that would get me off the ground. A week later, I saw an email from the professor asking to meet. She informed me that my homework assignment had triggered the plagiarism detection checks and told me that she would not only be failing me for that class but also reporting me to the judicial committee. Ironically, I was the president of the student body on the judicial committee that year. I broke down and cried for hours on end, completely shattered, refused to eat or speak or leave my room, until eventually a few close friends broke their way in and made me tell them what was going on. My life was pretty much over. While most first-time offenders of the honor code are let off with a warning and a 0 on the assignment, this professor was not one who believed in second chances. She had recommended a quarter's suspension, which for me, an international student, meant a revocation of my visa, and consequently, deportation. I was the end of the road, and I had only myself to blame. The next 2 weeks were by far the hardest of my life. I've never felt as close to giving up as I did then. Every day I hated the person I saw in the mirror. He had let down the people who believed in him, he had fallen from grace, and how? Mothers and teachers and friends would no longer cite him as an example to look up to. He was a disappointment, a fraud, a failure. I don't know how or why they did it, but the professors on the committee vouched for me and helped me avoid suspension in lieu of 100 hours of community service. Life endured. Second chances are not an opportunity to make things right, they are an opportunity to prove that we can stand up stronger after a fall. Sometimes, we just weren't ready the first time around. In case we haven't met before, I'm Rohan Kamath. Thank you for reading. I hope I could help you ponder today. Smiley face.
This is the end of the video. Thank you for staying until the end. Remember to subscribe if you like the video. The likes also help a lot for referencing, you know what you have to do. Here is the end of the video. Leave a comment to tell us if these answers are more useful to you. See you soon.